A coating of herbs infuses this dressed-up version of a pork loin rib roast for dinner guests. Bones add to the flavor and to the appearance of a rack of pork. Providing us with advice on choosing a roast is Kimberly Green, home economist and registered dietitian. You've invited the guests. Now, what are you serving for dinner? Kimberly, we're having a dinner party, so what are we cooking up?
Today we're going to make herb roasted rack of Ontario pork.
Sounds delicious, but it sounds a little intimidating. Can you tell me about this cut of pork?
Sure. Well, Tracy, it's actually not hard to cook at all, a rack of pork. It's quite easy and it's also very impressive. The main thing is to get the right cut of pork when you go to the grocery store or the butcher, and you ask for a rack of pork or a rib roast that has been Frenched.
Okay, what do you mean Frenched?
So Frenched is, as you can see, bones are exposed. So a rib roast, when you buy it, would be a solid piece. The rib roast has the meat removed from the bones, and it just gives it a really nice look. You can get different sizes. As you can see here, this one has 6 ribs, which feeds about 6 people or thereabouts.
Okay.
This one's a lot smaller. This would serve probably 2 to 3 people, and you can see there's 3 bones in there. And you can get really large ones as well.
Okay, Kimberly, you said it's an easy recipe. How do we get started?
We have 1 minced onion and 3 cloves of garlic. And you just put that in a dish because we're going to mix these all together, and this will form our crust for the outside of the pork.
Okay.
Okay. We have paprika, quite a lot of paprika, 2 tablespoons. So we've got a tablespoon of salt and cracked black pepper, basil, celery seed, and thyme. Now, not celery salt, that's important.
Celery seed.
Celery seed, so you don't want it to be too salty. And we've got sage and also a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, so that really gives it a kick. And you just mix those things together, and then we're gonna take our rack of pork and coat it in mustard. And that allows us to have the coating stick. I like the grainy mustard, it just gives it a nice flavor. And the recipe calls for 3 tablespoons, but whatever you need. I'm just sort of using as much as we need here. Do both sides, just give it, you gotta get your hands dirty in here, right in here, and just rub it on the outside. And like I said, that allows the spices to adhere to the pork, and it gives it a really nice flavorful crust. So once that's done, you roll it in your spices.
It is a very simple recipe. So how long are we roasting this rack of pork?
Well, this takes about 30 to 35 minutes per pound. So this one is about a 3-pound roast. It's going to take us around an hour and 3/4, maybe 2 hours. We're going to rely on our meat thermometer to make sure that it's done correctly. And you're looking for 155 Fahrenheit or 68 Celsius. That will be a safe temperature, but not too overdone. Now that that is nicely coated and very flavorful, we put it in our roasting pan. Then we just put it in the oven at 325.
Okay.
And it just roasts uncovered. So it looks like it's ready. It's been in there for about an hour and 3/4.
Wow. Looks great.
So we're just going to test it with our meat thermometer just to make sure.
So where would we place this meat thermometer?
Well, it's important to not touch the bone when you're testing with a meat thermometer, and you don't want to go all the way through to the roasting pans. So if you can kind of slip it in between those things, that will give you an accurate temperature.
So more in the middle?
That's right. Yeah. And you can try it in different spots just to make sure it's thoroughly cooked. So it's ready. The next thing we do is to tent it with foil just to let it rest for a few minutes. That'll let the juices distribute throughout the meat, and at that point then we can start plating.
Okay, so how would we serve this to our guests?
Well, we've done up some roast vegetables, and you would just put those on your plate. So after our roast has sat for about 5 minutes, you take the foil off.
Okay.
And you just transfer it to your serving dish. And what some people do if they're having a big dinner party is they have 2 racks and they sit them up like this, and it looks really impressive. But you can see it looks delicious. And all you do is slice between the bones right here, like that. And then each person will get 1 really generous piece of meat.
Should it be slightly pink in the middle?
It should be, yeah. You can see it's juicy and there's a little hint of pink, but it's safely cooked.
Well, the guests are about to arrive. Where can somebody go to get more information on this recipe?
you want to go to putporkinyourfork.com.
Well, thank you very much, Kimberly.
Thanks, Lucy.